Here's our K24a2 swap in our 88 Honda Civic 4-door. We got a JDM front end here, as you can see. We actually didn't have a core support, so we had to make our own. We thank Mike at Concept Fabrications for doing that. We did have the T-bar though, and so we were able to utilize that. And of course we added some Downstar hardware. Shaved Bay by Ryan Cornell. He's worked on many of our vehicles for us, including our Blue Hatch, the world's fastest 2nd gen Integra, and this one. And I'm just going to show you some things that we had some questions about. When we were doing the swap, we started with Hossport driver and passenger side mounts. These were their standard K20 mounts. Kind of used them so that we could get the engine in the correct space so that we can use either their axles, or actually in this case we're using base model RSX axles. But we started with this side. We were able to hang this side where it needed to go, and then we brought the transmission mount up over here. We built this guy over here. Once we did that, then we were able to rock the engine back enough to clear our cross member with the transmission. As you can, if you could see through the cables, we're perfectly clear there. And then we made our rear motor mount. A little different than you would normally see here in Micah's idea was that this could be stronger than the mounts where it still bolts here and then a single plate runs across here and then it mounts over here. Basically the same thing that we've done here, except to use the tube. We got the Skunk 2 Alpha header. It clears very nicely. It does hang a little low under the chassis, but there's not a whole lot we can do about that. These are the TSX shift cables, and we got them kind of ran in between the steering box and the rear cross member, and it was clean. You can see where we got our fuel going on here through the firewall. We really like this spot, and we run over here to some K-tune parts, lots of K-tune parts. I'll show you how that works, what we've done here. This does have our cable to hydro conversion. And you can see the reservoir up there. The reservoir hose feeds through the original cable hole, and then it goes directly in to the master cylinder just behind the firewall, which I can show you. We're still working on, well, actually we just got to bleed the brakes. We did the brake tuck already, the brake line tuck. But here is our cable to hydro conversion. Bolts directly to your pedal assembly. This was an 88, so that meant that we had to swap the pedal assembly to an 89 to 91, but like I was explaining, it goes straight to the cable hole and then comes up to the reservoir. Now it does look like it does a little bend. Trust me, this is much better than the EG and how the EG fits. The EG does fit, sort of, and again, this was all retrofit stuff, so if you're going to use a master, we used one that worked well. This fits very well. You can still see that it's tight, but the EGs actually fit much worse. And the line comes out of there. We changed this fitting with all the masters that we sell now. They're now the banjo, so this will always point in the correct direction. If you guys got the MPC style like years ago, you'll find out that this fitting actually sometimes would point the wrong direction, and that was just bad. So we changed to the banjo. And here next to the fuel, that's where we like to set our hose going out, and that's a bulkhead fitting. So you can see it's right between the gas and where the ducting would be for the heater or air conditioning distribution box, I suppose you would call it. Then you see we really like the central feed in terms of the brake hose. It just makes getting the lines, I don't know, how would I say it? They're the same length, so when we do a central feed, the hoses on both ends are the same length, and they actually end up being the same part number, and that helps in terms of cost and price and manufacturing here in the future. So this is something that we're still working on to be able to provide for you. But that right there is a bulkhead fitting, and it actually goes to the outside, and then it tees off and goes to the rear. All right, and we've kind of eliminated the stock proportioning valve and are now using the Willwood proportioning valve. So single line in and out, Then it will feed to a T back here, which then runs to the rear brake calipers. And it will be the same on the other side. We're still working on this, and when we're finished, we'll let you know. We'll show you how the brake finishes off. So there's our brake booster delete with the Wilwood master cylinder, and this is the new banjo fitting I was talking to you about. And what's cool about this, it allows for 360-degree clocking, so you're not going to have to worry about the MPT in terms of where it points when you need a 90-degree fitting. We really like this line routing. It worked really well for our hatch, so you can see it comes straight down, then it kind of goes behind the steering column, and then back to the bulkhead fitting, which is kind of down there. I don't know if you can see it well, but it's tucked also, so that's out of the way. But I think the biggest thing that people wanted to see was the hood close. This was the coolest part, why we used the JDM front end. And that was so that we can get the hood to close without cutting a giant hole for the giant K24 engine that's in there. Now, it's I'm just by myself here, so I'm not going to actually push it all the way down, but I promise you that it does close all the way, and it looks super clean, and we're really happy with how it came out.